problem if I just scroll through my feed a little bit.
Okay, now you can open it. Oh, that was
crispy.
Now take a sip.
Nice. Coca-Cola for all your refreshing needs.
Yes. Welcome back, folks, to another episode of A Distinguished Conversation. In the room with me, to my right, I have Mr. Caleb Deal, as
How's
always.
it going?
And then to the right of him, we have our very special guest, Mr. Josh Kampe.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, so
Sloshy Joshy.
So yeah, today we have 2 Gringos and 1 Amigo. So
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're overpowering him today.
We
White
outvote you.
Yep, I'm still the minority.
Mayonnaise is on the menu, boys.
Jeez. So yeah, that being said, we got a very fun episode planned. We might play poker. We're gonna talk about Cowboy Bebop, and if today's main topic, if we have time, well, I don't know. It's gonna be games that we finally got around to playing, but yeah, can even apply to like TV shows and just whatever. So yeah, very fun docket. And speaking of the docket, I have 1 note for today's episode. Well, 2, I guess.
Feedback from our previous episodes.
Last episode was our second most viewed episode, the Borv, live on ADC, one night only. So thanks to everyone who tuned in and listened to that, because we do this for the viewers, not the views.
And you guys get rewarded with another little...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's got a nice fizz on it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Give it a nice little...
I spilled all over myself. That's fine.
Give us another swig so we can hear that. There we go. There we go. Nice and sexy. I think that's the first time anyone sneezed on the podcast.
Indeed.
Jinx it.
Yeah. So, Mr. Kampe, why don't you tell us about yourself? How do you, what do you...
What you got going on? What you doing? How's
you?
life? All that jazz.
I'm writing a lot for D&D a little bit, but mostly about 5 hours 3 times a week when I'm not doing my summer class stuff. I'm writing my hopefully breakout novel, you know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should publish it for him.
Publish it for him.
Yeah.
I don't think podcasting and publishing go hand in hand, but I mean, we can probably give it a shot. We can definitely promote it at least.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So what's this book about?
Okay. It is a fantasy.
Okay.
Because I love escapism. Because the world sucks.
Indeed.
It does.
So it's kind of a post fall of the traditional hero party. You know what I mean?
Enough.
So you have there's like a group of 5, group of 6. I don't remember I think it's 6. They went through some traumatic stuff. A couple of them, didn't make it. So the 3, there's like the hero obviously made it. Then there's the sidekick made it, and the strong woman figure of the party. They all made it, but they all went their separate ways to kind of cope with the grief of losing half their friends to horrific situations.
Mm-hmm.
So the hero kind of retreats behind the castle walls. The main character is the male side, the traditional side figure. He became a functioning alcoholic, and then the chick, her name's Arana, she kind of made a new life for herself in a pseudo-crime family. But
okay.
I don't want to spoil the crime family, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. But
Fair enough.
Barnabas, the side character, the main character, he basically just gets tired of spending every day drinking. So the hero came back from a mission and was going to have a party. He crashes the party, and then they find out that the old evil has come back. So Barnabas tries to tear down what they've built over the last 3 years to try to get the old gang back together to go hunt this new old evil.
Wait, cool.
So
hell yes.
it's a blast to write. I kind of just write to entertain myself, and luckily I got a few very loyal readers who I rely on for content and grammar. Shout out to Delin and Mick.
Hell yeah.
Way cool.
That's awesome.
How far into the book are you?
I finished chapter 11 yesterday,
Way
so
cool.
that was page 137.
Wow.
But I've realized that books are more about the word count,
Yeah.
because each publisher and each hard copy, paperback, whatever, is going to have its own font size, page size. So page count really doesn't matter. It's all about words. Like a novella is 30,000 to 40,000 words. So I'm finally over novella standards.
Nice.
And then a month ago, I did 3 international contest submissions, all in the UK. So basically, I just paid a lot of US dollars and pounds to get people overseas read a small excerpt of my book, and hopefully I get shortlisted, which is, when they weed you out as decent, and then they don't publish you, but they'll publish your excerpt in whatever magazine or website, and then that's supposed to give your name a little more recognition with agent. It's supposed to help you get agented.
Fair enough.
Sweet.
Well, awesome. Sounds. Well, number one, I can't wait to read this book when it comes out, and we can't wait to talk about it.
I can send you
out.
guys little snippets of what I got
Sweet.
later if
You know
you're
what?
interested enough.
You should absolutely send me some experts.
You know what would be really fun is if we read part of the book on the podcast one of these days.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. I had to cut down a lot of the swear words
Aw, that's no
for the
fun.
submissions. So the fourth word used to be the F word.
So what you're saying is we get the director's cut
Yeah.
on the podcast.
Yeah, the fourth word used to be the F word, because I was like, this is a great idea. It will, they're going to open the book, they're going to read the first line and be like, either this is what I want to read, hell yeah, because I like morally gray, or they're going to be like, no, this isn't for me. I'm not sure if I want to. But now they have to buy the book before they figure out if they don't like it. So
Yeah.
Sweet. More money for you.
yeah, that's right.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
So what is your end goal for the book? Like, how far are you to finishing it?
Oh, that's a great question. I'd say I'm about halfway through. My goal word count is about 120,000 words, and I'm about 48 to 50,000 words.
How about the story? How far in the story are they to, like,
The big
fighting
bad.
the great evil?
I know how it's going to end, and I have a rough idea of how many chapters it's going to be. I think there's going to be at least 5 more chapters of whatever they're doing before the BBEG reveal. And then plot twist, and then probably 4 more chapters.
Fair enough.
I really like when heroes lose a lot before they win. So the Barnabas, he gets the shit beat out of him almost every chapter.
Hell yeah.
Either emotionally or physically.
So
Sweet.
That sounds
Sweet.
Sounds very
BBEG, by the way, is big bad evil guy from the non-role playing game players out there.
I was gonna say this sounds like Batman v Superman, but I'm
Nah.
pretty sure that's
big
not what
bad
that is.
evil guy.
Big bad evil.
Big bad evil guy. Okay.
D&D term.
Okay. Well, that's
BBEG?
you learn something new every day, folks. I actually had an idea for a comic book that tied into a separate comic book, and I think we'll turn it into a show once I get the millions of dollars for the production budget.
Of course.
I know I've gone into graphic detail with Max, but like the ending of the show was that like the team of heroes that we had, they split up, but like so there's 3 people, and one of them leaves the other 2, and the other 2 just lose. Like it's just that's how it ends, and it leaves on a cliffhanger, which introduces the other tie-in comic, because one of the characters from that pops up. No introduction, no name, just I'm here. The 2 characters fight, and the character from the first comic just beats the absolute living shit out of the second character, and then that person is left on a rooftop with internal bleeding and broken bones.
As
Like
you
an
do.
Omni-Man type, a real beating.
Kind of, yeah. And
dig
then
Batman style, like, shh, they're just sleeping.
the old justice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it like ends like that, and then then it comes back with like the actual ending, which I actually have picked it back up again and have started retooling how I want to do that. But yeah, the hard part for me is just writing it. I have like seasons worth of television shows all mapped out up here. Just putting it on paper has always been a struggle.
My
for me.
best advice for writing is to just vomit it on a piece of paper. Even if it's the worst thing. I've gone back. I had to redo the first 4 chapters like 6 times, and then every time I was like, I can't believe I ever let anyone read this ever in my entire life. I feel so bad for everyone who tried to give it a go in the beginning. And I mean, it's still not even professionally edited, so it might go to an editor. They're going to be like, this is shit.
Yeah.
I need you to take out 5 pages and then add 6 more about this one character. You know what I mean? So just vomit it on a page.
You know, it's funny you say that, because that's kind of how I write music, where I kind of just vomit out words, and then it's like, okay, that's terrible. Let's see what I can do and how I can rework this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, how about you, Mr. Caleb? Have you ever written any stories?
Written stories, no. TV shows, no. Video games, on the other hand, I've always loved the idea of like making like a The Last of Us style video game, where it's not like just post-apocalyptic, but it's like it's a game that actually takes time to develop its characters, and like, you know, the person that you just were introduced to doesn't die in the next scene, you know. I feel like, especially with newer games, the one I like think of just like off the top of my head is Cyberpunk. With
tragic.
Spoiler warning for anybody who has not played Cyberpunk 2077 and is wanting to play in the future. Like, this happens in like the first chapter, but you know, spoiler warning. Like, you know, skip like 15 seconds ahead. But it's when Jackie dies. And so Jackie is he's like your sidekick. He's like your, you know, your go-to, like your, you know, your right-hand man.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really develop his story very much. Like, when he died, it was like, oh, okay, well, shit, that kind of sucks, but oh well. It wasn't like, I didn't really feel any emotional tie to that character. But like, I just went back and watched like Avatar: The Way of the Water, and that show, or that movie, it's like a 3.5 hour movie. But it uses all that time to develop all the characters, so you actually feel like you have an emotional connection to the characters when, you know, they succeed or when they fail or when they die. And I think that's missing a lot in like not even just video games, and all like TV shows and that type of thing as well.
I've never felt an emotional character to any video game like character, even if like Arthur Morgan. You know, I was like, oh man,
What?
But you know what I've always been internally weepy for whenever I've had like a horse in a game for a long time, and then it dies, like in Ghost of Tsushima. Or Red Dead. I'm broken.
Just like, man,
I'm broken.
Fuck.
You know, it's funny you say that, because one of the last playthroughs I had of Red Dead, my mom actually started watching towards the end, and so we got to the part, spoiler alert for Red Dead 2 actually, the part towards the end where your horse dies.
It makes me sad.
It hurts.
I
It hurts
spent
every
so
time.
much money on that horse, man.
That too.
It was the most expensive horse of the game, and I had it for the whole game. And it
hurts. It never stops hurting, and it never gets easier. We should do a grief counseling episode where we talk about video game characters and horses that have died. We're just like, so horse shit. My favorite horse fell off a bridge one day. It's tragic.
But yeah, I think that's a good segue into
The topic.
games that you've always wanted to play that you either haven't gotten around to or have just recently gotten back to playing?
After I do the feedback.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna do feedback, and then we're gonna go into that. Man, I had such a good fucking flow going.
No, it was such a good flow. So Marcos Martinez, on the Max episode, the James Gunn hired us to make a Flash game. We just didn't know it yet. He had one response. Did Max pronounce critique as critique at 11:30?
He did. I listened to that, and I thought he was doing it on purpose.
He might have been. It's Max, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, to answer that, yes, he probably did, and he probably did it to annoy the hell out of all of us. Thanks, Max. All right, and then we got 2 responses on the Borv episode. Marcos and his teehee signature laughter, LOL, by Hui. And then by Matt Schultz. Good, I guess. Marcos used to bully me as a kid, and call me a chunky whale boy, which made me sad. I'd rather him be kicked off, please.
What the fuck, Marcos?
Damn. Yeah.
We're gonna need evidence to back that up before we kick off our co-host. But
yeah, so Mr. Schultz, if you can provide evidence, that would be great.
Email that to. Is it just a distinguished conversation at gmail.com?
A distinguished conversation at gmail.com. And
email us with your proof, and then
there's also an Instagram.
Yep.
You
can also DM us on Instagram. You give us a follow while you're there.
Slide into
I don't know, Marcos, you might be on the chopping block.
Yep. I mean, you're not showing up for work.
I mean, I didn't think like our past would come back to haunt us this quick.
Getting canceled and you only have 3 viewers.
Yeah.
Not even 15 episodes in.
Yeah.
All right. This is a good one. This was so lit. Noah loved it. And that was on the How to Get the Bitches episode.
Hell yeah.
From Sarah Connor. It's a coworker of mine, but what's really funny is it's like every guy who listened to that episode told me in person that they really enjoyed that, or would come up to me and say, hey, how do I get the bitches? And I'm like, well, that's why you have to listen to the podcast, so that you can reveal all the answers, which we still are trying to do the video series where we go out to like the mall or try every single step. So be on the lookout for that once we get around to making that.
We're going to get arrested for harassment if we ever actually do that
shit. I'd just like to imagine that we start the video off with us being escorted out of the mall. She said she was, no. She said she was 12.
No, I was trying not to be an asshole, I swear.
Does nobody remember that? Are you talking to your 11-year-old girlfriend? She said she was 12.
Good old Chris Hansen.
Is that a Vine?
I think so.
Yeah.
I never actually had a Vine or watched Vine.
Vine was good. I never watched
to get into Vine.
Like I never had an account, but I always enjoyed
I
it.
used to strip videos from Vine and then repost them on iFunny.
Nice.
Pretty much.
I never got a following. But also, it was like really niche, weird anime content. So
that'll do it.
That's fair.
So yeah, that sounds like a perfect segment after our segment. Our main topic of today, video games that we finally got around to playing, or if we don't have enough video games, TV shows, or just things, you know. So yeah, Mr. Kampe,
I'll start.
Yeah.
I came up in a fairly strict household, so I couldn't play T for teen games until I was a teen. I couldn't even, my parents didn't even let me play GTA until I was 18.
Be that way.
I know. Then I played GTA and I was like, it was okay. I think it got built up too much over the years.
It's like it's like the South Park of video games. Like,
yeah,
it's gonna be so good. Like, you know, you can't play. It's like the forbidden fruit, and then you get it, and it's just like, all right. I mean, yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah. I love South Park.
But I remember my first T for Teen game. It was one of the original Call of Duties on Xbox 360. It was like Call of Duty 2.
Hell yeah.
It didn't even have an online mode. It was just story. At that point,
those were the days.
It was so good. It was so good.
You know,
and then we really played the hell out of all the Modern Warfare games when my brothers finally got it.
Nice.
You know, it's funny that you say that because I have Medal of Honor. I don't know which one, but it's the one with Pearl Harbor. We could play that for the game segment.
PlayStation?
Yeah.
Fuck it. Might as well.
The original Call of Duty.
My first shooter game, we played a paintball shooter game. It didn't even have bots, so it was just me and both of my brothers running in a 5x5 square that was the maps of this game, and just shooting each other. And it was also the buggiest thing ever. But that's the closest thing we can come to a first person.
Mm-hmm.
It did not prepare us well for Call of Duty.
It'd be that way.
Man, my first ever shooter was 007 GoldenEye. That game was a whole lot of fun. I remember, like, being scared of a couple of the characters, like the dude, like Lockjaw or something like that, I think is his name, or something like that. I don't remember exactly what his name is, but like he has like a big old head and like a creepy looking jaw, and I was like that character terrified me. But like, yeah, no, that's it's again one of those games where it was just like me and my brother, on occasion my dad, where we would just, run around and shoot each other and play games. Yeah, it's fun.
I love how this is like, there's old memories where it's like, me and my dad used to throw a football. Yeah, me and my dad used to shoot each other in video games.
Hell yeah.
My dad
evolution
tried. I'll give him credit for trying, but he's the kind of boomer gamer that just kind of throws the flash grenade at himself instead of actually shooting anything. And he gets one kill, and the end of the game it'll be 4-30. Just a horrendous KD, but we'd hype him up just because he got those 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, my dad's the entire reason I got into video games in the first place, because I remember like he had the PlayStation 2, and then also that's it.
Is that Jared the Subway guy?
No, it's Iron Jaw. What is his name?
Jaws.
It's just Jaws. Okay.
Yeah.
Jaws. Yeah, he's a 007.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The actual dude is also kind of creepy. I think it's Andre the Giant with some like prosthetic teeth in or something like that. But
something like that.
But yeah, no. My dad, I remember watching him play like GTA. Like I don't think he was even. I think it was GTA 3.
Classic.
Maybe it was San Andreas. I don't know. But like, I'd be like, "Whoa, can I play?" He was like, "No, you can't play this." No, because he like, I think he like made sure when I was around, he would just do like racing games and like all the races and like maybe 1 or 2 shooter mini games, but like nothing major. But yeah, no, that's like one of my very earliest memories with like watching people play video games. Was just like watch my dad play GTA. It's
Do you guys
fun.
remember your first games in general?
We talked about this on another one of the episodes, didn't we?
I think so. I think if I remember right, my first game was Super Mario Bros. New on the DS Lite.
Whoa. My first game was like,
it came with my DS.
Nice.
First game console was the Wii, so it was like Wii Sports, but like the first games that I remember ever playing were Spider-Man 2 for GameCube and Scooby-Doo Night of 1,000 Frights. So those were 2, and I actually have them for the PS2, and they have not aged as well as I remember them.
I think it was pretty much any game though; they just don't age well.
That's 100%
I feel like
true.
there's a couple like Call of Duty 2, the World
Big Red 1 ages pretty well.
Well, that's more than I can say about one of the games that I recently finally got around to playing. I actually have 3 games I recently got around to playing. The majority of the Resident Evil series. I finally got around to playing those, and like the mainline games that I haven't played are 5 and 1. With the exclusion of not finishing out all the campaigns on 6, but I don't have time to go through 6. It's like 5 different campaigns on that one. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1 is, well, it's from like 2000, and it's rough. But the one of the other games I recently got into was Ratchet and Clank. Has anybody ever played that?
I played a Ratchet and Clank. It was an arcade game at a McDonald's in Missouri.
Do you remember when McDonald's had the video games in them?
Yeah, they never fucking worked.
Yeah.
No, mine always worked. There was a Spyro game, and then there was a Ratchet and Clank game.
Hell
and it was kind of like a GameStop demo. You have like one mission, but we would always stop at the McDonald's whenever we were getting like a bathroom break or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it probably took us 5 years to actually get through that one level of the demo, because you're only there for my dad to get a McFlurry and then dip.
Hell yeah.
So, but no, those were fun. And then they had the big McDonald's upgrades.
Yeah.
And they became all squared and stuff.
Yeah.
They became modernized and minimalistic.
Mm-hmm. And they got
And
rid of
sad
They
and
got rid of
corporate.
the red boxes too.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, Redbox makes sense because they kind of got murdered by Netflix and
Yeah. Tragic.
Amazon Prime and
It was
Hulu
that
and all
sweet
that
spot
jazz.
between Blockbuster and
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Mine was Family Video. I don't know if y'all remember those.
My brother worked at a Family Video, and he was privy to work there while it was closing.
Mm.
So we got to ransack it on like a $1 day right before it
Hell yeah.
closed. So we got a bunch of movies in
Lovely.
varying conditions of garbage, but pretty
enough.
solid.
Do you have any of those garbage movies?
I
still?
do. I got the first whole season of AOT,
Nice.
which is Attack on Titan, for all the anime listeners.
Fetishes?
And then I got Knock Knock, the Keanu Reeves movie with Ana de Armas.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Sounds like a good one.
Booby warning for anyone who actually watches. I haven't seen it yet, but
Running.
Sounds like next time we have Josh on the podcast, we should watch that. Just bring it over.
No, the plot's crazy. It's like this guy goes and is like, he's at his house alone and his wife leaves, and then these two girls come in from like the rain, and they like force him to have an affair, and then they try to kill him for cheating. That's it's super weird. I might be wrong, but that's what I remember being told about it.
Well, it sounds like a good time. But as I was saying, one of the games that I recently got into was Ratchet and Clank, and so like you said, you had fond memories of playing it at McDonald's. My first recollection of the game was we had some friends who were kind of family in California, and their youngest, Jeffrey, who was a couple years older than me, he used to play Ratchet and Clank. So I remember him, like, every time we'd go and visit them, he'd always have the new one. So we watched him from like PS2 Ratchet and Clank to PS3 and etc. And so I think the last one we saw him play was like Into the Nexus or something like that, because that was the one from like 2011. But long story short is I recently got around to playing these. I played the PS4 update remaster thing, and I thought, wow, I'm gonna play this and I'm gonna have a good time, and only to find out that these games are horrible. Just absolutely horrible. And like I've been watching like somebody's retrospective of them, and they're like, yeah, this is so much fun and it's great. I'm like, no, I die so many times.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed about like the older PlayStation games is they did not give a fuck
so
about how hard they were.
And then like
There
you
was
die,
no difficulty slider.
and then they're like, yeah, you're going back at least 15 minutes, and I'm like,
yeah,
holy
Yeah.
shit.
there's no checkpoints. There's no like,
Ugh.
there's no like autosave. There's none of that shit.
And so like every
You
time
die, you redo the level.
But if you die, here's the worst part is like, you die in a normal game. Okay, well, at least I'll get my ammo back. You don't get the ammo back.
Nope.
So like every ammo every piece of health, everything you used, you don't get that back. So either A, you have to re-buy everything that you just wasted, or I don't know, just figure it out. It's absolutely horrible. That being said, the humor of those games are great. In the third game, Bill Clinton is a major character.
Bill Clinton.
I kid you not, it's Bill
And Ratchet
Clinton.
and Clank.
Yeah, it's like the president of the galaxy or whatever, and it's not Bill Clinton, but it's like he has the exact same voice. And there's this really great joke where he's like, he's talking to Ratchet, and he says, Ratchet, my daughter says you're real good with your hands, and he's like, sir, I swear it was nothing. It's like, and that's okay, because I need you to need you to go fix this with your hands or something.
Practicing his lines of the secretary.
Precisely. But like the humor has aged phenomenally. There's this other great thing where each game has like a inside joke, or not inside, but like kind of a risque title. So like the first one, Ratchet and Clank, but then after that it's Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, Up Your Arsenal, Quest for Booty, like, and then my personal favorite, Full Frontal Assault.
Hell yeah.
So I just like to imagine that there was a kid out there who was like, hey mom, can I get Full Frontal Assault? And then like the mom's like, what? And then like she's trying to figure out what that, like where her kid learned about that. And he's like, well, I learned from Timmy, he was watching a YouTube video. So then she finds the other son, Timmy, and then she like just beats that child, and she's like, why are you showing your younger brother Full Frontal Assault? Where are you
He
finding
will be
this?
beat the neighbor's child.
Yeah, and then only to find out that it was like a Ratchet and Clank game.
Remember the first South Park game? I think it was like Fractured Butthole.
Yeah, Fractured Butthole.
Fractured Butthole.
I think Stick of Truth was the first one.
Stick of Truth and Fractured Butthole.
Yeah,
Fractured Butthole.
I actually have Fractured Butthole. It's pretty great. It's like playing an episode of South Park.
Yeah, I remember watching people play Stick of Truth. I think PewDiePie was like the first person I'd ever heard of Stick of Truth from.
Yeah.
And just watching him play the game was a hell of a lot of fun. Because obviously it's one of those games where like I was young enough to where my mom was like, no, you're not playing that.
You're not playing South Park. No.
Absolutely not. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. That's how I kind of got my kick on like games that I couldn't play, was that I just watch other people play on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Same here. What is y'all's take on PewDiePie?
I hadn't heard of PewDiePie until he said the N-word, to be honest. So my first introduction was that clip of him playing PUBG and going, I'm not going to say it, but...
Yeah.
Who cares? Go ahead. Say it.
No,
Save it for Max's podcast.
Yeah.
Audience, I won't be saying the N-word on Max's podcast.
What if Chance told you could say it?
Even then, I feel like even with the N-word pass, it feels wrong to say it.
What if we got him like a full-on signed by like Obama?
Like
just
Yes, signed by the
I would need
NAACP.
Obama's signature on that before I thought about saying it.
challenge accepted. I don't know how.
GoFundMe Obama's N-word pass.
Yeah, that's like his Patreon.
Sign up for the Patreon now.
He's not getting enough money from his past presidency.
No,
He's
absolutely not.
Michelle, I gotta play in.
Michelle, we're going to retire.
We're gonna retire.
I got a retirement set up.
I'm gonna make a fortune. God, the amount of people who actually would buy that
is Obama. If you're listening,
you can make millions.
You could make millions. Yeah, yeah.
As long as we get 10% for coming up with that idea.
10% and a free
Billions.
certificate.
Yes,
Not to use, obviously, just to like
just to have.
just
We
to
get the
keep on
first
the
one.
wall.
Just to keep
Yeah.
on the wall.
yeah. It's like that. It's like when you get your first $2 bill and you kind of frame it or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like that, or like the first $1 that you make from a business. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's always fun. How about you, Caleb? What was one of those games that you finally got around to playing?
It's not a video game necessarily, but D&D. I recently started playing D&D. Like what, 6 months ago? That's when I joined. Like tail end of the semester.
It was
actually
probably
mid-semester.
less than 6 months ago. For context, I am the DM of said game.
Yeah. So, D&D is definitely it's Dungeons and Dragons for the normal people out there.
Losers.
And like my first exposure to it was, I think, I remember like making a character sheet in like 5th grade.
5th grade, right?
Yeah, and like we just kind of had some dice and we're rolling because we had no idea what the hell we were doing.
Being that way.
And then like I kind of forgot about it after that, and then probably around like early high school, like middle school era, like I started watching like your Critical Role, your Dimension 20, all of the like D&D content creators online. And then Josh invited me to do a game, and we've been playing for a while.
To have.
Hell yeah, you've been a pleasure to DM.
Oh, thank you. It's my first experience. It's nice to have such good beginning players.
Hell yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because one of my old coworkers and good friend Clayton, he plays D&D, and I believe he's the dungeon master whenever he would play. and he got a D&D cookbook, and one of them is like the
the
Traveler's
Feast of
Stew.
Heroes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he made that the other day. I was like, give me that recipe. I need that. And I even brought him up because I know you want to do a D&D podcast.
I'd love to do a D&D podcast. I want to do something where like, it's like a beginner session basically. So like, you know, obviously you mix in with some experienced players, so it's not just like everybody has to learn. But like, I've noticed, especially with all of your like podcasts, all of your YouTube live streams, all that D&D content, it's all geared towards like this elaborate story. I haven't seen any that are like, you know, it's a bunch of one shots and like it's geared towards new players. So like people who want to get into the game but they have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah,
I think that would be a lot of fun.
I'd like to do a Drunks and Dragons.
Drunks and Dragons would be also really fun.
Because you weren't there for when Vogel got his Dungeon Meisters drink book. Well, oh boy. There's some gems in that. I think that was the night that we banned Keaton from drinking, or was the one after that we banned Keaton from
Isn't that also where Sloshy Joshy comes from?
No, Sloshy Joshy was a Halloween one-time experience where I got real sloshy, you know.
Hell yeah.
And I dressed up as Jon Snow, and I told everybody what I thought about them in a positive way, and then I projectile vomited on all the boys outside the bathroom. I would have made it, but Vogel was on his phone watching TikToks while taking a poop, and he was just taking his sweet time, and I was clawing at the door, just praying for salvation. I just couldn't hold it.
Damn.
And that was Keaton's costume. I destroyed it.
Hell yeah.
And then I went downstairs, or they put me to bed. They put me to bed downstairs on the couch, and then I woke up at 7 and I went to work.
Nice.
Every single time I've ever been like disgustingly drunk, I
wake up just fine.
No, I don't wake up just fine. I've had to go to work. That just is always the trend.
I always wake up really fucking early. Like for some reason, I wake up at like 6 a.m. I don't understand why. Like everybody will be like out on the couch or whatever, and I'll just be like up, just like on my phone, just for no good reason. I don't know. Yeah, I'm weird.
Sorry. When I got up that time I projected, there were people still drinking.
Jesus. At 7 a.m. in the morning?
At 6:30, 7 a.m. there were people still drinking.
Fucking Christ.
I know. They were going... I've never seen people that drunk in my life. Like, eyes bulging, face red, barely hold their eyes off the table, and they were like... You want a shot, bro? I'm like, dude, it's 6:30. I've bounced back. I
have since gone to hell and been back.
Yeah. And you're still on the way down.
Yeah.
Is there like you've gone to hell, came back because the devil spat you out because you were so drunk, and then you're going down again, and then
you go back up.
And then you go back up.
And it's basically like an elevator.
People are... Yeah.
And then...
Going up and down, baby.
You meet Britney Spears, and then you go back again. No.
Where's Britney Spears coming? What the fuck?
I don't know. Isn't she horrible?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. She's horrible.
I haven't heard anything bad about her.
I know she was on like a conservatorship or something because she was too unstable to spend her own money. I heard
do
that.
Remember that. Yeah, good times.
Good times.
So yeah, any other games that y'all want to talk about recently getting into?
Well, we played Chivalry 2 for the first time last night together.
Yeah.
And that's a really fun game.
Chivalry
2.
Yeah,
it's
so
first or third person, just
medieval, just hordes of people running at each other with knives and blades and bows and
cutting
axes.
limbs off.
Lovely.
Chopping limbs off, chopping heads off, smacking people with clubs and shit. It's awesome.
I went to a medieval, what is it? Or
like a
Renaissance fair? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this little area where they had like these little, I don't know, foam bats that kids were like smacking each other with. And I thought, wow, can I go beat up some kids with like a foam bat? I was like, that looks like so much fun. And then this guy walked by and he was holding like a snake. I was like, is that the prize for beating up the most kids?
Do you guys remember Nerf swords? Like
yeah.
Man, I remember the day they stopped being sold in Walmart because too many kids' moms probably bitched to the company. It was like, they're hurting my kids. Or, all my kids are breaking stuff. You buy your kid a thick foam weapon. Yeah, they're going to hurt themselves.
Oh, yeah,
but
absolutely.
those were dope.
Do you remember the old lightsabers that used to retract all the way? And they were
I still have a couple.
They were rock
Those
hard.
were solid, yeah. That was getting hit with PVC pipe.
Oh yeah, basically.
It was like, and then like you would have that one friend who would just like wuss out on you, and then you would have like the other one who was like actually there. It's like, all right, somebody's gonna either be crying or bleeding.
Oh yeah, and the second your friend like accidentally smacks your knuckles,
pinky,
like in the knuckles, just like it's the worst pain ever. It's
yeah,
like,
and then you see red, and you're like, he's gonna die.
Yeah.
I gotta avenge my knuckles.
all of a sudden, like your super attack charged up, and you were like,
yeah.
he's
rage.
dead. Yeah,
And then you hit him, and then he cries, and then
and then it's a whole thing, and then the mom comes down, and you get beaten, and then
good times.
Good times.
Man, old toys used to be the best.
Exactly. You ever look at
they
action?
still do sell foam swords in Walmart.
They're
I
just
started
not as
smacking
good.
somebody with them the other day.
You ever see like even the action figures now? Like the arms don't bend. I'm like, what kind of cheap crap is this?
Well, yeah, because they realize they can sell them without having to put any effort into it. It just has to be the likeness of a famous character.
Yeah, it's like the
People be like,
McDonald's.
Yeah.
Have you seen the like downward spiral of kids meal toys?
Yeah.
Mhm.
We at least
tragic.
our kids meal toys at least did something. They'd shoot a disc, or they'd
They like do a backflip.
they
or
do a
like,
backflip or something. They'd stick to the wall. You know what I mean? These are just like you get a
No figure.
You get like a solid figurine, and it'll maybe wave its arm around.
thick plastic, and yeah, it just waves its arm or opens its mouth.
I actually still have some of the ones from Speed Racer when that movie came out, and they were like lined up cars, but like each one did something different.
I had some of those too. That was honestly, that was probably a bad movie. I remember Speed Racer not being very good.
I like that movie.
I don't think I've ever watched it.
Add it to the list. Next time, or one of the next times Josh is on the podcast, we'll have to talk about it because I have a defense for that movie, and like it involves showing y'all the 1960s show. But
Okay.
Yeah, I've
Like
heard
the
about
cartoon?
the 1960 show, the Japanese version versus the English version,
Mhm.
where the Japanese version, people just died and they were ignored. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well, so the funny thing about that is in both versions they die. But in the Japanese version, there's like arms and limbs and blood and stuff, and they cut that in the American version. But like if somebody dies in a car crash, like nobody crawls away; they just die.
They just die.
There's people who will fly into volcanoes, just go straight 100 miles into a wall. Like it's a crazy show.
I
There's
don't know.
machine
Paul
guns.
Walker kept going.
Well,
Which time?
well, for 7 movies at least. But yeah, that's I think that's a good segue into that's one of the few animes that I've seen. I've seen the Boondocks.
I would not consider-
Anime. I don't think
That's a cartoon.
That's a cartoon.
Have you seen the art style? It's an anime.
It's a cartoon. That's like calling the old Teen Titans an anime.
Well, there are some episodes that have a anime theme song.
Yeah.
Opening.
I mean,
it's.
So I'd
Fine.
say that's
Well-
closer than Boondocks.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've seen bits and pieces.
but it's still like widely considered a cartoon. If it's from America, I'd say it's a cartoon. It can still be in the anime art style, but it's a cartoon. If
It's kind of like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Do you really consider that an anime or a cartoon?
that's
That's kind of a
an American
it
anime.
rides the line very closely, but it's still considered a cartoon.
Still considered a cartoon.
Well, fine.
The
And
best
the only
cartoon
2 anime
ever
that
written.
I've seen all the way through are the 1960s Speed Racer and Cowboy Bebop,
Hell
which we just watched or rewatched episode 1. What are y'all's thoughts on that, boys?
I fucking love
I
that
love
show
it.
so
I
much.
love-
I love it.
The aesthetic, the soundtrack,
Mhm.
the storyline.
We were actually talking about it last night, and like, it's a more realistic version of like our future in space.
Yeah.
So like, instead of everything being all futuristic and everything running well, like in Star Trek or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, you got hand me down ships. It's everything's corporatized. You
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
pay to get through the space lanes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That type of thing.
capitalist space is
Mhm.
true space.
It's the most realistic version of
He
it. At
said
least.
it. He said it, boys. Capitalist.
Capitalist space. Also,
Roll
it doesn't
credits.
it doesn't ignore old technology.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like you have in Cowboy Bebop, there's like it mentions VHS tapes and cassettes, and like you have these boxy TVs, monitors that don't work. Versus like Star Trek, or
you got
Star
holograms.
Wars, you
and
got
shit.
holograms, and you got hollow chests or whatever.
Yeah.
No one's watching TV in space,
Yeah.
and any of the modern stuff, which is. TV's still going to be around in 20, 30.
Like
110%.
Imagine like our grandkids or great grandkids one day, they're gonna be floating around in their spaceship and they're gonna think this is so boring, and we're like, when we're like cryogenically kept alive or cloned or whatever, and we're gonna be like, you see, Sonny, what we used to do for fun was we'd sit around in this 100-degree room and talk into microphones
And watch TV. People on the screens doing stupid shit.
and they're like, that sounds so boring.
Yeah, Joe Rogan will still be around. So.
Yeah, they'll either clone him or genetically
He'll have
modify
like
him or
some sort of
something.
he will have found the fountain of youth.
Yeah,
Probably.
he can afford it. How much
Oh my
money?
God, yeah.
Oh man.
And he'll just be like, I don't know. And so, do you think these spaceships are great, or what do you think? I don't know.
So is Mars actually a thing or no?
Yeah.
I don't think Mars actually exists.
he's like floating outside.
Alex Jones. There's nothing past Jupiter. I swear.
Yeah. Some shit like that.
She said she was 18. I noticed something during our watch through, and it was that thing that I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest show ever. It's while they're at the bar in the first episode, and what's his name? Asimov, he's in the back, and the chick, she's just up front. She takes a sip of the beer, but like she just kind of goes in for it, and she doesn't like look around or anything. She just goes for a sip of beer, and I was like, oh my God. She's not pregnant, so of course she can do that.
I didn't notice that.
That was something I noticed on this rewatch, and I was like, oh my God, that's beautiful foreshadowing. And then like the chase where they're in the spaceships, instead of like some fast, exciting music, it's smooth jazz. I love that like kind of contrast from literally every other show ever.
One of my favorite scenes in anime is that Asimov and Jet fight, where they're like doing kung fu and like doing some good old fashioned fisticuffs. They're like, Spike, not Jet, and like they throw each other over tables. It reminds me of like a Bond theme, Bond
kind of like
scene. There we go.
Well, I know they took a lot of influence from Bruce Lee as like a person for the character of Spike, and like everything he says when he's talking with the like, I don't know, fortune teller or Indian man, I don't know. When he's talking with him, like he's just like, and then death. He's like, oh, I died before, and he's just chill about it, and he's like, I died at the hands of a woman. And he's like, you shouldn't take this lightly, and he's like, on the contrary.
You're putting too much credit.
Yeah, he's just I don't know. He's just so chill.
It's a very cool dude.
The thing that I noticed is they used a lot more dynamic camera angles.
Yeah.
That they had first person that was done really well, and they had slow-mo, and they had wide shots, and they had panoramas, and in a lot of anime it's like you have you focus on whoever's talking, and then you have the occasional wide shot, and then if something dramatic is happening, they'll do a panorama to show the scenery. But this had a lot of very movie-esque diversity of camera.
Which is why I think it's one of the, if not the greatest animes of all time.
I've yet to see the movie, but that's like one of the only thing that I haven't seen from the show is like the full movie.
I didn't even know there was a movie.
There's a movie. I think it takes place 3 episodes before the series finale.
Okay.
But like it's just like an hour and a half of extra Cowboy Bebop. So
Hell
who
yeah.
wouldn't love that?
Have either of you watched the live action?
I have
that
not.
got put on?
I have not.
I fear it. I started the first episode, and it starts where episode like 3 starts.
Okay.
Where they introduce Valentine.
Okay.
But it's every time someone tries to make anime real life, it just doesn't quite work.
It feels
for me.
wrong. I
Like-
feel like Bebop is one of the more realistic ones that you could do. I can see that being pulled off, but I don't want it to be
I
good.
don't want it to be good. And also, Jet is such a flexible acrobatic fighter, and
Spike.
sorry, I keep saying Jet. My bad.
My bad.
But the actor who did a great job in the scene that I saw acting it, but he's like 40 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't quite contrast. It contrasts the version of
I was gonna say
Spike I
like
have in my mind.
the most like every time we see Spike, he is very agile, and he seems like he's at the latest like 30. If that.
I imagine he's like
Late 20s,
32,
early 30s, without a doubt.
32 max is what I imagine.
Yeah, like he looks, and throughout the entire show, like he's just kind of almost like he's not a kid, but like a teenager.
He's a young adult at the very least. You know, I wouldn't say he's quite a teenager, but he's definitely got the like,
Moxie.
you know,
Yeah,
The moxie.
the moxie. Yeah, that's the best word. Or like, but he's confident. He's just easygoing, but he's also got like some wisdom to him. And it's like weird.
Someone who's seen a lot in his very short life.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And
Makes sense as bounty hunter.
yeah. The one thing that I love about this show, or one of the many things I love about this show, is it just opens up and there's no introduction to him, or like it's just church, guns blazing, roses hitting the floor, and then like 2 minutes later you just on a ship, bell peppers and beef. Like they don't say, hey, we met at a casino 20 years ago, or we met doing this. It's just no explanation. You're just thrown into the story. And it's something that I absolutely love when they pull it off in storytelling, because like we've had 3 different Spider-Man in like the last 20 years, and they like in this last case they did it without an origin story, but I kind of wish they did. And then they had the last 2 where it was just a retread of the same origin, and we've seen Batman's origin happen on screen 50 times, and
At least.
it's like, if it's done properly, you can introduce characters and you can introduce a setting without having to explain everything. And I think that's one of the great things about the plot, is that they kind of slowly unravel a little bit about each character.
And I love that. Like I love when books and shows like put you into the like just put you directly into the action, and then their backstory comes to light progressively, like throughout the book or the movie or whatever it is you're watching. Like, you know, they'll be in a bar, they'll like, you know, go through a fight, and then, you know, you'll be introduced to like their family or like you know their backstory a little bit. You know, what's this guy got going on
from long past will just be like,
yeah,
what are you doing? And then he'll show up randomly and like shoot him or something.
Yeah.
But I think Cowboy Bebop, it is, I think one of the reasons it gets away with that is because it's an anthology. It's more of an anthology series than it is most anime, just like a singular plot following one character. It's really, it's about 4 different people, and they just happen to all live on this ship together. And every once in a while, like, they don't even interact every episode, except for like the end when they're eating beef and bell peppers.
There's like full episodes where Jet and just kind of in the background,
Jet,
and then like
Spike.
no, I'm talking about Jet.
Oh,
okay.
The like his friend, the guy with the robot arm.
Okay.
Jet. I know the name of the characters.
I don't, apparently.
Faye Valentine, Ein, Ed.
Mine is my favorite character.
Yes.
Corgis are my favorite.
Have you heard when we talked about breeding corgis, Mr. Kampe?
Remind me.
So
corgis.
He has this grand idea that like at some point we're gonna have a big mansion.
Precisely.
And we're just gonna breed corgis in the mansion. There's gonna be like hundreds of corgis just running around.
Core guy?
Core guy.
Yeah. Is that the plural?
Corgi.
Let us know in the comment section. Is core guy the I don't know, but we'll have this giant mansion.
No, it'd be corgis, because the only reason it'd be core guy would be if it was Corgus.
Corgus. Is that like the root corgi? Yeah, the corgi, like the original. Is
Corgus.
The Latin.
That's the patron god of the corgis. Is Corgus.
But we'll be breeding the corgis in one room, and then we'll be breeding raccoons in another one, so we can have raccoon butlers and corgis. and then we'll have like another podcast room, and then everyone else will get like
course.
their own room. And
Yeah, I remember you talked about like Corguskies one episode. Or something.
Corguskies.
Corguskies, Corgi Huskies, Corguskies.
Oh yeah, Corguskies.
Yeah, Corguskies.
Like the most adorable things in the entire world.
I feel like I love those kinds of dog breeds, but they can't be made to live good lives. You
They
know what
can't
I
be
mean?
healthy.
It's like, you ever watch a pug just exist, and you're like, oh, that's kind of cute, and then you hear it breathe, and you're like,
You poor bastard.
you poor bastard. God's just keeping you alive, just to laugh.
But look at these things. We should put a picture of it up on the Instagram.
Yeah.
But it is literally just a miniature husky.
Yeah, I don't know. See, its head looks way too big for its body. It's got the head of a husky.
Yeah, it does. It's just a long, wide husky size or Corey sized husky.
Hold on. I'm gonna see if they got. Do they have? What would a husky wiener dog be?
Ooh,
Whiskey?
a whiskey,
A whiskey
a
dog?
whiskey.
Whiskey. Could you imagine that?
That can't be. I hope that's not real. Like, that'd be funny to look at.
There's
but
a will, there's a way.
That's true.
Improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Oh my god!
It exists.
It exists. I love it. It's even better than the corgi.
What?
It's just a long husky.
Oh, that looks like it got photoshopped and stretched.
I love it.
Ah,
We need
Oh my god!
whiskey. We're breeding
Where
whiskey.
do we find it?
Oh no, this one looks a little more cursed.
Oh, I hate it. That looks like the "Should I do it for you" dog. or whatever.
Yeah. It's just a long,
That's
short-haired husky, which is even worse.
It has the
It
face
looks
of
like
a.
Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank.
It does. It does.
Its face is too long. I'm gonna look at.
It's like it's pretty, but it's also like I feel bad for it. It's
Oh, pug huskies exist.
pug huskies.
Huskies?
Huskies.
Look at that.
Oh my god, that is. I feel so bad.
I know. It doesn't have this like cinnamon rolling of the face. You know what I mean?
That kind of looks like the.
It looks like a Frenchie, but like not quite.
Oh, this one looks real simple. You know what I mean?
Real simply minded.
Oh man,
God.
you
That,
sweet bastard.
that reminds me of like what is it? Step number 3 on how to get the bitches, the lower your standards.
Yeah.
That's what that dog reminds me.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all want to play poker?
I want to continue down this like weird dog mixes.
That is true.
rabbit
Dude,
hole.
okay. While we're talking about animals, have you looked? I saw this thing. It's like, it was this post that said birds can literally be named like Big Dick Dominus Michelson or something. No one names everyone. If you find a bird, you could just name it whatever you want.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I love the idea of that, like just Big Dick McStuffins, and that's just the scientific name for it now.
So we had this rabbit that would just kind of, me and my boss would go out for like a vape break at the end of work, and we would just talk and whatnot. And shout out to Dayton and our old vape breaks where he would vape and I wouldn't. And we would just stand out there and talk, and there was always this little hare, this little rabbit or little bunny who'd come out, right? And he would just hop around and sit with us, kind of. And we called him like Richard Harry Cummings or something like that, because it was Dick. It was like Dick Cummings or something like that.
Hell yeah.
Or was it? No, Richard Harry Johnson, because 3 names a Dick.
Richard Harry Johnson.
Yeah. This is
Hell yeah.
Let me read you some bird names real quick. The tit.
That's it. That's
I'm
like
gonna,
a whole
I'm gonna play
bird family.
2 truths and a lie with these birds' names.
Okay.
ooh.
All right. The southern fuckbird. Blue-footed booby. Cock swallow.
So the tit, that one is
the tit is actually a bird. I know that much. Cock swallow feels right.
The southern
the southern
that
fuck song.
That one.
The
can't
southern
be real.
fuck. Okay, the two. Okay, there's the blue-footed booby, the southern fuck bird, and cock swallow.
The blue-footed booby feels wrong.
That one's real.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
That one's real. There's also the brown booby as well.
The brown booby.
Its cousin.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with southern fuckboy. I think that one's
Southern fuckboy.
yeah, that one's the one that's not real.
I made up cock swallow.
Cock swallow,
The
really?
southern fuck bird is a real bird.
I thought cock swallow is a real bird.
It might be, but I know there is a swallow and there's the woodcock. So that's the list I'm looking at. I don't know if
I'm gonna get some
cock
weird
swallow
results, but fuck it, cock swallow.
cock swallow.
Nope, that's porn.
What is this?
What the fuck?
It's like a giraffe and
It,
like
it looks like just a poodle with a weird haircut.
yeah, but like it's atrocious.
On a side note, I guess not a side note, but also kind of a side note. Husky Greyhound next.
No.
It's a stretch out husky.
No.
We'll post all these on the Instagram at a_distinguished_conversation_.
It looks like
Instagram.
someone like tied a rope around its hind legs and then
It's just
neck
pulled.
and just pulled. That's horrifying.
Oh, it is very terrifying to
It
look
feels
at.
like the kind of dog you'd see in like an indie anime.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't look quite right,
Uh-huh.
but you can tell it's a dog.
yeah, no.
It's like Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
Whereas like I've never seen a Great Dane look just like that, but all right.
Is he a Great Dane?
Supposedly,
Who is?
Scooby Doo.
I had no idea.
Huh.
Yeah, supposedly he's a Great Dane. You know what's a really cool dog? That dog from Pirates of the Caribbean, the one that has the keys.
The first one?
Isn't it a Yorkie?
Yeah, something like that. So he was actually, the dog is actually part of the ride at Disneyland, and so there was the guys with the bone, and they would try and get the keys, and that was something that made its way from the ride to the film.
Nice.
So yeah, that's where that came from.
Kind of relating to the topic of the episode, which was things you things you look forward to starting,
things got around to starting.
What were you guys' first R-rated movies?
Ooh. I honestly don't know. I think
I feel like it was.
is The Hobbit R-rated?
No.
I don't think so. Okay.
I think it feels like it would have been some 80s movie. I feel like, but then again, most Mel Brooks films aren't rated.
His aren't rated R?
His aren't rated R, but arguably they should be.
Arguably, well, Blazing Saddles for sure.
Yeah.
I think History of the World is fine, and so is
because Spaceballs was one of my earliest films that I saw.
This
as a
movie's
kid.
PG. What the fuck?
I know, that's why I'm like,
The
no. Silver Streak.
yeah.
I've never heard of that. What's
So
that?
it's another
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder movie.
We talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah. It's another one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Young Frankenstein?
Yes.
That was a good one.
Young Frankenstein.
Mm.
And
Well,
then
Pink Panther.
the
Pink Panther. Surely Pink Panther is not.
Pink Panther, the
PG.
the films.
Yeah.
Man, you're like the only other person that I know of who knows that those were films from the 60s.
What? Some of the ones with the
Jacques
guy
Cousteau.
from Cheaper by the Dozen?
Yeah.
Like
The Pink Panther.
because like the original film was about like Jacques Cousteau, and then like the show was all about like him, the actual Panther guy.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
him being sassy and just making his way through situations, and that little white guy is just trying to make a living a lot of times.
Mm.
And then the Panther just ruins his day. You ever realize that about like old 60s cartoons, that like a lot of times it's just people trying to make a living? They're just like, hey, my name's whatever, and I'm just trying to sell this house, and then I'm just trying to scare away tourists, and then these meddling kids got into my into my real estate scam, and I would have gotten away with it too.
Hell yeah.
Good times. I'm trying to think.
Find Airplane. I think Airplane.
No, that's PG.
How the fuck is Airplane PG?
It was rated PG because the Temple of Doom was the film that
The first
actually introduced.
movie.
Yeah,
That's right.
because
I watched the first one, which is PG, and there's a lot of GDs and dams, and
Yeah.
people die all the time in that movie.
Well,
It's rated 18 plus for full frontal nudity.
You can get a...
Yeah, it's rated R. Okay.
Wait, what?
Wait,
Film?
no. Hang on.
I mean, the 80s movies, you can get away with a lot and still under that PG-13. Like Jaws, man, first 4 minutes, there's a full pair of swanging titties.
Have you ever seen what is that movie? 16 Candles.
I have. I don't remember it though.
16 Candles. Is that the one where...
Isn't it like Lindsay Lohan and her mother? Like
No.
no.
Is that the one where... no, I'm thinking of 17 again.
All right,
Yeah.
so 16 Candles is an 80s movie where Molly Ringwald,
Molly Ringwald,
whatever her name is, I think I butchered it, but
What
she...
was her name?
Molly Ringwald.
Yeah, from Breakfast Club.
Yep, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink. God, I love Pretty in Pink. Great film. Gotta love Ducky Dale. But in 16 Candles, here's the plot. This kid is trying to prove that he's got laid, so he's trying to steal like some underwear from this girl who's like turning like 16 or something. I don't know. Like, it's absurd, and within like 5 minutes of this movie, titties, like, just then
All
there's
the
so
old
many
80s movies.
so many
Oh, yeah.
shits and
Honkers.
goddams and like so much happening in this movie. But yeah, that was like PG, I think. And like in 5 minutes, I'm like, this is not PG.
Yeah.
Figuring out the ratings.
Yeah, no, they could get away with a lot more back in the day, because like Blazing Saddles, when that came out, wasn't rated R.
Well, that's because there wasn't as many stigmas,
Yeah, that's true.
or at least there were stigmas, but they weren't as vocalized.
Save it for Max's podcast.
Yeah.
Actually, has Max ever seen Blazing Saddles?
He would have.
Surely he has.
If anyone's gonna watch it, that guy.
I feel like if anybody, like, yeah, but like, I don't know, like, his, I don't know. We should ask him. If not, we gotta have an episode where we show him Blazing Saddles, because
That'd be his new favorite movie.
yeah, he'd watch it and he's like, I agree with these town folks. Why'd they have a black sheriff? Like, just we'll say that for
historically, I mean,
yeah, it's like, Max, this has nothing to do with this history. I'm legitimately trying to think of an R-rated movie.
your first R-rated movie.
Do you have one in mind?
I do. It was actually The Last Samurai. With,
Oh, okay.
Have either of you seen The Last Samurai?
I have not.
Tom Cruise. It's very loosely based on a true story. Tom Cruise goes to Japan to train the Emperor's forces with modern weaponry, and then there's a samurai revolt. And then he gets kidnapped and, joins the samurai rebellion.
Yeah.
But,
Very cool.
I mean, the soundtrack's fantastic. Hans Zimmer.
Oh,
Well,
there you go.
I mean, good plot, good acting. Historically accurate. Nah, don't watch it for the historical accuracy.
It'd be that way.
Yeah.
I'm finding out that all movies I thought would be
I know, that's what I'm like. I'm trying to think.
We're
and I'm
all like PG rated.
Yeah. Because, like, I'm thinking, I know I watched stuff that, like, probably shouldn't have watched as a kid, but I'm like, that wasn't rated R. That was PG, because rating systems were weird. First R-rated movie, like, and I'm thinking, but, like, Cabin in the Woods, that wasn't my first like.
I watched that on TV
movie.
one time. It freaked me out.
I like it. It's a good film.
Granted, I was like 8 at the time.
Yeah. Well, Coraline freaked me out as a kid, but then I went back and read the book and watched the film a couple years ago, and it's one of my favorite films to this day.
Coraline actually, it went through Neil Gaiman went through a testing of it because they weren't going to publish it because the publishers were like, this is way too scary to market to children, and then he's like, let me read it to like my 6-year-old daughter or something, and then I'll and then if she thinks it's fine, I'll read it to these kids. His daughter was so terrified that she was too scared to say no. Plus, also, it's like, you know, her dad. And then he did this reading, and none of the kids commented. They're all too scared to comment. So the publishers were like, "All right, let's go for it." So he got it published as a children's book.
Yeah,
somehow.
Oh shit! I guess it was the Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club is rated R.
First R-rated movie. I mean, it's got the weed.
You know,
oh yeah, it's got weed in it. Ooh.
I've never seen The Breakfast Club.
It's pretty good.
So I've heard.
It doesn't. I mean, I feel like it's aged pretty well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like now it'd be a PG movie.
No, now it's PG-13 for sure. I mean, I think it goes over the F word limit, but apart from language, it's perfectly fine. I just like watching the like mean teacher like slowly descend to drinking with the janitor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember, well, this wasn't like maybe The Passion of Christ. I don't know.
That's true. I was forced to watch Passion of the Christ.
I don't like it.
The fuck is The Passion of the Christ?
It's,
never seen The Passion of the Christ?
It is Mel Gibson's.
I was gonna say
Mel Gibson's rendition of the final days of Jesus Christ. So it starts at him in the garden, and then it goes through his trial of crucifixion, and they try to do it justice. So it's all in Hebrew, and they beat the fuck out of Jesus. There's like slow mo of the whip ripping flesh from his bones.
Jesus,
it's rough.
It's rough.
Reminds me of the fucking South Park episode with Mel Gibson in it. It's like just him like, my character needs to get whipped. I need to get whipped. And it's just like, it's very clear that it's just Mel Gibson wanting to get whipped.
Yeah. He's, So you've seen South Park, but because they talk about there's a whole season where like Cartman's just like, have you seen The Passion of the Christ? It talks about how Jews are the worst because like in that film, Jews are the worst.
I mean, it just didn't register to me probably.
Well, like it's a rough movie. We should watch it for the podcast.
I don't want to watch it.
I don't know if I want to watch Passion of the Christ for the pod.
A fun
I don't want to read
flick.
Hebrew subtitles for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it goes on forever.
Now, while I'm looking through this list, a really good R-rated movie that everybody should watch is Blues Brothers.
I have seen Blues Brothers.
I have no idea.
You've not seen Blues Brothers?
Never heard of it even.
Great
Oh
film.
my
The
God.
chase scene at the end.
The chase scene. All right, so it's like a classic like late 90s or late 80s early 90s movie. Like, you know, you got like your two fucking jazz brothers, or blues brothers, I suppose, as the name might hint at just a little bit,
But then they play country instead.
and then like I don't know why Roadhouse, like scenes from Roadhouse are coming to mind, like when I'm trying to think of Blues Brothers, but
I'm trying to think about the plot. Carrie Fisher's in it.
Carrie Fisher is in it. It's pretty
She's
cool.
like one of their like ex-wives or something like that, and they just need to make money.
Yeah, it's
Isn't it
basically
buy
like
the
them
house,
just
like the orphanage that they grew up at or something.
Yeah, it's something like that.
They just need money.
Blues Brothers.
And
I'm gonna Google
so
the plot.
they
just 'cause I can't
literally
remember
just
it.
go gigging, and they like steal a gig from these guys, and they're like, who are you supposed to be? And they're like, because the good old boys are supposed to be playing tonight, and they're like, yeah, we're the good old boys. And then they rank up like a beer tab that's more than what they were gonna get paid at the show. And they're like, yeah, those guys got us over there. And so they go, and they're like, who are you? And they're like, we're the good old boys. And they're like, no, they're the good old boys. And yeah, it's a wild ride. And then there's this chase sequence at the end.
So here's like the film synopsis.
Okay.
After his release from prison, Jake reunites with his brother Elwood.
Yep.
Collectively known as the Blues Brothers. Jake's first task is to save the orphanage the brothers grew up in from closing by raising $5,000 to pay back taxes. The two are convinced that they can earn back the money by getting their old band back together. However, after playing several gigs and making a few enemies, including the police, the brothers face daunting odds to deliver the money on time.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Imagine, when did that come out?
1980, June 20th.
1980. $5,000 in 1980. That's a lot of money.
I don't think it was that much.
I'm an inflation calculator. That
Hell
just
yeah.
because
Toss it on the inflation calculator.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's like 3 movies that like stick out. I guess 4. So there's Airplane, obviously.
Yeah.
Silver Streak, Flash Gordon, and Blues Brothers are like the 4 like staple movies that I remember watching in my childhood.
Be that way. I'm trying to think, and like Passion's coming to mind, and it's been years since I saw that, but I remember being terrified of that as a kid. You got the number?
I got the number. It's $5,000 in 1980. Is this equivalent to $18,000? 450.
Fucking hell. I guess it has been almost 50 years, but still.
That's a lot of money.
That's more than 100. That's 100% increase.
Damn.
That's
Inflation's wild, people.
Inflation is wild. That's why I invested in gold.
Yeah.
It's so expensive.
I was talking with a buddy sometime back, and because we went off the gold standard a long time ago, and he was trying to explain to me like why we couldn't print more money. I was like, money has been worth nothing for years.
Yeah.
Like honestly, the
entire world is based on the American dollar, and it's kind of scary because it's not the entire world, but like the Western countries.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the pound's been bigger than the dollar for the last 2 years. When I went to Scotland, it's not much of an increase. Like when I went, it was like a 28-cent increase. But I mean, compound that if you spend $50, that adds up.
Yeah.
But not to get like super world politicky here, but there's I think it's called the BIC Alliance: Brazil, India, China,
BRIC. Yeah.
BRIC.
BRICS.
BRIC.
So it's like Brazil, India, China, South Africa, and like
Mother Russia.
another country. I don't remember. It's 5 countries.
I mean, they're chipping away at the dollar. I mean, they got France and China made a deal with Iran and Saudi Arabia or something to do oil sales in the Chinese yuan instead of the US dollar, which I mean, all of our money, since we're not on the gold standard, it's all we threaten countries to buy oil with American dollars, and that's what its value is. But I mean, if China, they probably were the only countries that can oppose us at this point, says, hey, use the yuan, we can't just be like, but don't,
but the dollar,
we pulled our troops out.
Yeah.
So
the only reason the American dollar was worth so much in the Middle East is because we had guns.
We had guns
and airplanes there.
Yeah. And now we still have guns and airplanes there. They're just in the hands of ISIS.
Yeah.
Save it for Max's podcast.
Wait, actually, they're in the hands of the Taliban. They're different.
That's right. Because we wiped out ISIS, I think.
Theoretically.
I love It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and there's this great bit where the character Frank, played by Danny DeVito, he has this like fake company that he uses to launder money called Wolf Cola, and he was selling cola products to Boko Haram, and he was like, the country, and he's like, that's not a country.
That's not a country.
And they explain it to him, and there's like this terrorist group, and they're like, we are going to bring world domination with our new fuel, Wolf Cola. And this guy, he literally does the thing where he takes a sip and smiles at the camera, and he shows like the logo and everything. It's beautiful.
Man.
That's all I can think
terrorism.
of.
Sponsored terrorism. Hell yeah. Capitalism even reaches into fucking terrorism. It's great.
Oh yeah. Good times. Good times.
Wherever there's a dollar to be made, someone's there.
Someone's willing to. Someone doesn't give a fuck about their self-worth or pride. Someone's gonna be like, money? Fucking yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One of these days we'll just have terrorists on the podcast where we're just like, so what made
Hold
you
on. Back up. We're gonna have terrorism on the podcast.
Hold up. Wait a second.
Maybe Max's podcast.
Yeah.
There we go. That's, my hands are off on that one.
Just Max, here's the questions we want you to ask it. So what got you into terrorism? How do I get into this lucrative business opportunity? Just all that good stuff.
Sponsored terrorism.
Yeah.
Good times. We're all on a list now. So
We're on the list now.
Oh, we were on a list way before that.
you maybe.
Just be like, Saddam, so what's your day to day? You know what I mean?
What's your day today?
You pray 5 times and
give us like the rundown as like,
yeah.
what's the life of
terrorist?
Just
of a
I want to get to know the real Saddam.
So did it all change after 9/11 for you guys too?
I get a terrible joke. I'll tell y'all later about my work. But it's a great 9/11 joke.
good times. Good times.
But yeah, well, I mean, I was on a list because I'm a minority. Y'all are white.
Oh yeah, fair. Good point.
See, that's what happens when there's 2 gringos and 1 amigo.
Indeed.
That's right.
Yeah. This has been a fun segment. Just 2 gringos and 1 amigo.
Hell yeah.
It's great.
I took Spanish.
I can understand very basic Spanish.
You know, the funny
But-
thing is, I barely speak Spanish at all. I can sing La Bamba, and I can say "Comprende de dos papas para por favor."
What does any of that mean?
I heard potatoes in there.
I heard please.
Can I get 2 fries to go, please?
Yeah.
Nice. Are fries in Spanish
like-
literally just fried potatoes?
It's so like a lot of times you'll hear what is it, papas fritas, but like you could say it that way, but a lot of times we just use like bastardized Spanish, and it's kind of just like get us dos papas, just
Mhm.
or like, if you go anywhere or like onion rings, you'll just say cebollas, or like what is it for sweet potato fries? It'd be like tomates, I think. I don't know. I'm looking at you. I think you know more Spanish. You probably know more Spanish than I do.
I mean, I know workplace Spanish. I know when someone's calling me a motherfucker, and
Yeah.
I know when someone's like, "Hey, can I get 20 rolls of sod?"
Yeah.
I can understand a lot more than I can speak
Mhm.
or read, but
It'd be that
it's
way.
still not like great Spanish.
I
Yeah.
can understand like the intention of whatever they
Yeah.
want, and that's about it.
I
Yeah.
think that all the Mexican guys I know, they really talk with their hands and they use a lot of
Mhm.
body language. So I could at least get an idea of what they're.
I
what
understand
they're talking
that completely because like I was watching some old cooks at one of the places I work, and they were talking and they were having a conversation, and he was making this gesture, and that's universal.
Yeah,
And I
He's
was
making the like wanking off gesture.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
for all you podcast listeners,
yeah.
Yeah.
Spotify listeners.
I think it would have been
Oh, do
funny.
you need to do a Spotify ad read?
We do, but we need Marcos here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think you and I could do it because
We could do it again. I mean, we should figure out if he's going to be here next week, and then we can do it then.
we could see, and we could call Marcos and just do it that way.
If it's an ad read, have it not phone audio quality.
That is true. Phone
Yeah, but
audio.
you guys
quality.
want that dollar?
True,
That is
true.
true.
El Dinero.
That's how we get to do this for you, the listener.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I think we've been rolling for a good amount of time.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to touch on while we're here?
I mean, I could talk about just about anything. I'm down to go down through all those questions that we talked about last night while we were gaming.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. Fucking. Just before we started, we came up, or what'd you say? There's like a difference between a kink and a fetish.
There's a difference between ladies and gentlemen, there's a difference between a kink and a fetish. A kink is something that you're like kind of into, like getting your butthole licked or something, you know what I mean? But a fetish is something you need to have happen to reach completion. So if you need someone to strangle you with a sock, that's a fetish. But if you just like the idea of someone rubbing a sock in your face, kink.
Okay.
There we
Got
go.
it. Cool.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I'm glad I could share my knowledge with everybody.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. A little knowledge drop before we end the podcast here.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for coming on the podcast here,
Thanks for
Joshy.
having
We'll
me,
have you
guys.
back on whenever you finish up your book.
Yeah.
Get some of
that'll
that
be a
shameless
while.
promotion here.
Shameless promotion.
Plus,
Yes, sir.
in this one episode, we realized we need to talk about the rest of Cowboy Bebop. We need to talk about a handful of movies.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
Speed
I mean, I'll be here
Racer,
for whatever. I mean,
Knock
if you want
Knock.
to talk about D&D some more, or
hell yeah. Hell yeah.
We'll have to do the
you know,
D&D stuff,
talk,
and then
I'll talk shamelessly about pretty much anything.
we got to do the Transformers series. Maybe that should be one of our next polls. Is what
I feel like
movie?
we've tried to do that poll a couple of times. We
That's
never
true.
actually get any answers.
Well, maybe with people, they're like, oh, Josh.
oh yeah,
part of this.
I'm
They're
such
like,
a draw.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah,
100%.
they'll see Josh's name and they're like, maybe this podcast is
It's
worth
not so
listening to.
Put in they talk about kinks and fetishes.
Kinks
Whoa.
and fetishes and Cowboy Bebop.
and Obama.
Holy
Kinks.
shit!
Kinks and fetishes and Obama
And
Cowboy
terrorism. We really hit all
we
the
really
boxes.
hit all the trademarks.
I feel
Hell
like
yeah.
this is gonna be a very exciting title.
Indeed.
But yeah, go follow Josh Kampe on Instagram and
It's
on the chat snap.
just Joshua.Kampe. That's it. Last
Sweet.
name Kampe. No caps.
Very simple, very easy. We'll tag you on all the posts.
Thank
and
you.
all that jazz.
And go follow at a distinguished conversation underscore under pretty much everywhere.
It's
And
_distinguished_conversation_. I think there's an underscore before A as well,
there might be.
but I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know.
Follow us on Instagram.
Close.
Yep.
If you get close, you'll find it.
Yeah, you'll figure this out.
And then if you got fan mail or anything, go email that or hit us in the DMs.
Yeah.
And
If you want them to talk about anything next time, shoot some topic ideas.
Yeah, give us some feedback.
Oh,
we
and-
need some hot juicy takes.
and Matt, if you can get back to when Marcos used to bully you and call you a whale, that like we need to know whether we want to proceed with this man in our company or an organization or not.
Whatever this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this has been a fun episode. Oh, actually,
We're doing it again. We're doing it again.
We're doing the Midwest.
We're doing the-
goodbye
we're doing
right
the
now.
thing.
We're doing the-
Midwest goodbye.
okay,
Is
so
is this relevant to what we have going on?
kind of.
Okay, what is
so we had talked for the first couple of episodes about somebody drawing up a
Oh yeah,
logo
Oh,
for
logo,
us,
yeah.
artists.
and then we kind of just
send them in.
Yeah, so like,
give us like we kind of have a title screen now, but like
Yeah.
draw like a cool little logo, like ADC
That'd be
edition
really
of
cool.
conversation.
Maybe you
like
can
three
draw me
dudes.
and Caleb in there. Maybe not Marcos because we're not sure if we want him part of it. Plus,
Put
maybe
a question mark for the third person.
yeah,
'cause,
that's what I'm saying. Maybe he's at like the bottom and he's like shrugging his shoulders. And we're like, I didn't mean it. Yeah,
I didn't mean it.
As-
Man, that was so long ago.
Watch as we drop an apology video where it's just Marcos and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, go follow us and go follow Kampe, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks for having me, gang.
Bye.
Bye.